super excited to talk about this new moon. It's one of the most exciting ones of the year. I've been seeing a lot of other astrologers, ironically, being like, fear-mongering, being like, this one's going to be intense, it's not going to be good. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, I feel like there's so many good, positive aspects to this. We do have a slight orb to Pluto in the sense that there's some intensity, and then we do have the Mars-Uranus North Node conjunction. But with that in context to the other aspects we have, and particularly to Jupiter, the planet of good fortune, good luck, things being very exciting and expanding your horizons, it's like, yeah, sometimes things have to go a little chaotic, but then we have the clarity that comes from that. So please, if you're worried and you think that something awful is going to happen to you this coming week, don't do that. Don't have those thoughts. Don't set yourself up for failure. Have a good mindset. I always tell people too, like when I'm doing readings for them, to expect chaos, whether that's through a tarot reading or I see maybe a challenging transit coming up for them. I'm like, okay, the worst case scenario is that something insane happens, and then what? It passes. You pick up the pieces, you'll figure it out, and you're going to be okay, like you always are. So this is something that I want you to look forward to. Don't, set yourself up for failure and start getting scared or anticipating all these awful events in your life. In, context to the Mars-Uranus North Node conjunction, yes, there is some intensity there. It doesn't have to be the worst thing in the world. Again, we're, combining and throwing a little bit of a chaotic party between Uranus, the planet of unpredictability, instability, things kind of coming out of left field in a very unexpected way. It kind of has this black sheep energy, but it's also incredibly innovative. It rules community, friendships, groups of people, but it's also very erratic. We also have Mars in the mix. Mars is the planet of action, assertion, aggression. It is the planet of war and fire and things maybe being a little bit more volatile, but it's also passion and how we go after the things that we want and our drive and what really lights us up and ignites us to kind of go after what we want with a lot of power behind us. And then the North Node, of course, is fate. It's fated events in general. There is this, idea around obsession and compulsion around the North Node, in the sense that it can be where we're very hyper fixated on something and kind of reluctant to settle for anything less. However, when we put all these planets together, yes, there is this unstable kind of, sorry I'm saying so much today. I'm like trying to search for the right words to use. There is this very aggressive, maybe unexpected change energy to this. And that doesn't have to be a bad thing. And like I said, if it is a bad thing, because of the aspects that we're having to this new moon, first of all, it being a new moon, second of all, it being in Leo, and then third of all, having a beautiful aspect to Jupiter, it's kind of like, if there's going to be a big change here, while it might be really uncomfortable or while it might be bad in our eyes, it's probably something that we should have done a long time ago. It's probably just going to be this kick in the shins that we needed in order to get our shit together. That's the way I'm viewing it. Even when I look at it personally in my chart, I'm like, yep, something's probably going to have to go wrong in this area, because if things kept going the way that they have been going, I was never going to change. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of the way that I'm viewing it. So especially for fixed signs in particular, so Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, and Scorpio, if you've been sticking with something or staying stagnant or not making a change in an area of your life where you know that you should be making a change, whether that's a breakup or quitting your job or moving out of the place that you're in, regardless of what it is, obviously we're going to talk about how it's going to affect the different areas of your chart. But if these fixed signs have been struggling with maybe being a little bit stubborn or reluctant to change in an area of your life where it's hindering you, this is someone who might feel completely off kilter during this transit, where you might be really uncomfortable, you might be really angry, you might kind of feel like, the universe is out to get you and doesn't want to give you what you want. But these big changes, again, are in your best interest. And with that Jupiter aspect to this new moon, it's kind of like, while there might be a big change, loss, or disappointed, it's like you get swooped up immediately after that into seeing the larger image of things, the bigger picture, the larger perspective of why this is exactly what you needed right now. Again, North Node, fated events, fated timing, in order to place you onto the path and the place that you're supposed to be going. So this is going to be happening again in Leo at 5 degrees. Let me pull up my notes really quick. So 5 degrees is a Leo degree as well. This is also just often referred to as like a fame degree, a minor fame degree. It's like this kind of short-lived fame aspect, in the sense of, like, think of a viral video as opposed to a full-blown celebrity. It's this moment of attention, creativity, entertainment, lust, romance. I always explain that Leo in general, like, it rules attention, and I think Leo gets minimized to being this like attention seeker in a very malicious way, when in reality the example that I always use for Leo is like a child dancing at a Christmas party, like desperately needing the entire family to have their eyes on them. Like, it's this very innocent need for celebration, and Leo's only like that because they're incredibly capable of celebrating everybody else. It's not this incredibly selfish, self-absorbed type of energy that people make Leo out to be. But it is going to be happening at 5 degrees. So this new moon's going to be trine Jupiter in a 3-degree orb. Absolutely beautiful. We know that Jupiter is the planet of good luck, good fortune, expansion. It's education, traveling, vacationing, things like that might be showing up in your chart, but it's also just seeing things from a larger perspective. It's learning through experience. It does sort of have this inflated type of energy to it, in the sense that Jupiter does expand anything it touches, for better or for worse. However, it is a benefic planet, so it's typically working in our favor rather than against us. We're also going to have the moon opposite Pluto, a little bit looser of an orb. It's not as intense as that full moon that we just had, but I would say that we need to take into consideration that Pluto still is intense changes. It sometimes has this tendency to pull the rug out from beneath us in a very, maybe not an expected way, but a very powerful way, a very transformative way. So again, it can kind of look like maybe not getting what we want, but understanding later down the road that it was in our best interest in order for us to, evolve into the type of person we need to be, or having to finally say goodbye or let go to something that might be really intense for you, but knowing it's the best. So that opposition, again, is going to be this kind of seesaw energy, this need for balance between emotions and change, where we're desperately clinging on to something, but where we really need to let go, where we're being incredibly stubborn versus where we need to be a little bit more open-minded to being flexible in order to, again, be pulled onto the path that we're supposed to be headed on. The North Node, again, is also going to be conjunct Uranus. So again, fated changes, fated, unexpected, unpredictable, unstable situations. Doesn't have to be a bad thing, might be uncomfortable, or especially maybe anxiety inducing to people that really do struggle with change, again, i.e. the fixed signs. However, this is something that's going to be working in your favor, new beginnings, new energy. It just might be a little bit more unexpected than you planned for, or it might be quicker, or it might be a little bit of short notice for whatever this is in the area of your life that this is going to be happening in. And then there's also going to be a square to Mercury, and Mercury again is the planet of communication. It's speaking, talking, writing, using your voice. It's everyday details, it's cards, it's short trips, it's the emails that we send, the texts that we send, the people that we follow on social media, the books that we read, the thoughts that we're thinking, the things that we're feeling in a very ordinary, everyday basis. Our immediate environment, the people we see every day, our neighbors, our besties, the person that works at the coffee shop that we love. Like, it's very much the smaller details of getting from point A to point B, whether that's literally or metaphorically, but how smaller details make a larger picture. So to have a square to Mercury isn't the worst thing in the world. Squares are typically just a point of conflict or collision where two planets kind of intersect in a way that is calling for your attention, whether that's through a decision, a need for change, or even just action taking place. It doesn't have to necessarily be conflict. But with this new moon being in Leo, again, like attention, creativity, entertainment, where we kind of need to be celebrated, and where we are this like illuminated, bright, shining light, but in a way that maybe often gets dampened, or something that we don't even realize about ourselves. And to have new energy there, it can kind of look like making a new change, or making a new decision, or taking a new step, and maybe that rubbing some people the wrong way, maybe our mom judging us for it, or our best friend not co-signing some new thing that we want to start. It's more of a more minor aspect, I would say, in comparison to the other things that we have going on here. And then lastly, Mars is going to be inching up to that Uranus and North Node conjunction. That's going to be more so exact the day after this new moon. So I would say the 29th, 30th, and then August 1st as well is going to be where we're going to see more intensity around that major conjunction. The new moon is kind of kicking off the chaos of it all. It's not new energy, again, because these planets are a little bit slower moving, Uranus in the North Node. It's kind of been this brewing undercurrent that isn't new energy. However, the culmination, that boiling over point, the head-to-head collision of where we might see something really intense happening is going to be within those few days. So up to, again, like August 1st, and then those planets are going to start separating from each other, and we'll probably see the come down of it all. But collectively, if we take the chaos aside and we don't focus too much on the conjunction, I would say that the new moon in Leo and then having Venus in Cancer is gonna, with kicking off Leo season, things are gonna lighten up a little bit more. There's this lighter energy than what we've been dealing with. I think that everybody can agree that Cancer season was really intense on like this volatile emotional level, and it doesn't necessarily, I feel like it's not so much that it was bad, but it feels like we've been like melting off or washing off this like heavy, mucky, quicksand, like tar type of energy that's maybe been on us, maybe for some people for weeks or months, and then for others like 20 years, and finally starting to like really get that off of us. Sludge is probably a better word to use than tar. I'm not sure why I picked that word, but I'm really excited for this new moon. I'm going to get into how this is going to affect each of the signs. Of course, go by your rising sign as always. You can go by your sun sign. I know some people, read for their moon and their Venus. It's just that when we do these horoscopes, like we're going off of the rising signs because it's going to be determining your house system and the layout of where these planets are going to be, aspecting in that particular area of your chart. So if you're reading for like your sun sign, it's just not going to add up in the same way. So I just wanted to clarify that for anybody who's confused. Super crucial to go by your rising sign. I think that's everything that I need to say in terms of the context of how this is going to affect everybody. But I'm excited for this. Like I said, be lighthearted, keep a good perspective, be open to new changes and opportunities. And if you see a path start to illuminate in a totally different direction than you planned for, don't immediately turn a blind eye to it just because it wasn't in the plans, because that might actually be the route to bring you on like a fast track to exactly what you wanted. And if not that, something better. So have faith in yourself, be excited, let that creativity flow, and this will absolutely work in your favor. Okay, so Aries risings, we're going to start with you. This new moon is happening in your 5th house of sex, romance, children, fun, entertainment, creativity, pleasure, your inner child. So new beginnings around things that are particularly in the more spoiled aspect of your chart. I always say that the 5th house is arguably the best house because it really is just letting your heart sing. It's things that you like to do. It's going to the restaurants that you love, going to, concerts or something, planning fun romantic dates, meeting somebody new. So this could look like getting a new hookup. It could look like progressing in a more like romantic situation. It could look like starting a new creative project. I feel like this is really going to embody what we know Leo to be for you, because the 5th house is traditionally ruled by Leo, so it's going to be highlighting those themes. Really exciting energy all around, things that are very joyful, that feel very good to you, and are very pleasure oriented. Taurus risings, this is going to be happening in your 4th house of home, family, roots, inner self, private life, foundation, emotions, property, and what feels like home to you. So with this being in one of the cadent houses, meaning one of the larger pillars of your life, this is going to be in the more intimate area of your chart. The 4th house could be things from literally property, for example, moving into a new house, signing a new lease, changing up your living situation, whether that's just renovating or painting a new room or something like that, all the way to maybe having new beginnings when it comes to your familial, situation, whether that's the relationship with your mother, or maybe you're reconnecting with an old family member, maybe you're starting a new chapter when it comes to turning a new leaf with a relationship that used to be a little bit more problematic or challenging. There's going to be new beginnings around your sense of self, your private life, what's going on the inside. And in the very least, if you don't see any physical changes in your life, I would say this looks like a new emotional beginning for you, where you might be able to kind of clear your slate when it comes to, you know, things that are maybe relative to like childhood trauma or things that you've been really clinging to, or resentment or guilt or whatever that may be. So this is going to be a little bit more illuminating to your inner world and probably give you a much lighter feeling. Gemini risings, this is happening in your third house of everyday communication, environment, people, content consumption, thought processes, short trips, cars, transportation, and conversations. So I like when we have new moons in the third house, because I think a lot of the times it gets written off as this very mundane, boring thing where it's just like you might need to read a new book, or you might, get into a new YouTuber that you start binge watching. It could be something a little bit more minor like that, but this could also be like planning a short trip. And if you don't have one planned, I would encourage you to do it, because it can kind of inspire some new perspectives. The axis of the third house and the ninth house are Gemini versus Sagittarius. Both of them are very education and perspective based, but it's also like your immediate environment versus looking and thinking further than what your everyday realm looks like. So to have a new beginning there can kind of look like learning something new, starting a new hobby, beginning to get into like a new trade like sewing or a hobby or rollerblading or something like that. But it could also just look like being more active in your community, getting closer to somebody that will, be somebody that might have been an acquaintance and now is becoming a closer friend. It really focuses on your immediate environment, your neighborhood, maybe even buying a new car could be happening for some people. Again, short trips. I would say too, to like refresh, maybe this is something that I would recommend more for a full moon, like letting go of things and cleaning your space, but this is a good time to refresh like your social media, who you're following, the things that you're thinking about every day. Start incorporating like really nice affirmations, or starting a really good hobby, or starting to take care of yourself a little bit better through a morning routine or something like that. You can kind of take, again, in the same idea of Mercury, the smaller details of your life and make them much more extravagant, so that the smaller details kind of give you a much larger and better outcome in your everyday life. Cancer risings, this new moon is happening in your second house of money, finances, values, possessions, self-worth, emotional and financial security, ownership, and things that belong to you. So this is exciting energy for you, because this is the house of like how we store money, and how our self-worth, how we feel about ourselves, correlates to like the things that we own and the money that we make. So this could literally just look like getting a new source of income, or it could look like you budgeting in a more responsible way in order to save up for something that you really want to splurge on. It can even be new beginnings just around your sense of self and how you identify with yourself. So again, similarly to people having the new moon in the third house of like, your everyday habits and how those affect you in the long run, I would say things like affirmations and pampering yourself and having a self-care routine could kind of set you up for more success, in the sense that this is the house of self-love, how you feel about yourself, your self-worth, and how that really correlates to your ability to bring more valuable things into your life. I would say to be careful with like when it comes to your purchases, just because there is a square to Mercury, and it's not that Mercury's retrograde, but I would say in terms of like communication and things like that, and Pluto being really powerful, if you are making a really big purchase here, for example, like buying a house or buying an engagement ring or something like that, just make sure that it's being done with like the true passion behind it, and not this very impulsive decision. Because I'm thinking with the conjunction in the sky, I don't want this to be something where you're being impulsive, or you're doing something that you're going to regret later down the line. But to have a new moon in your second house is really beautiful. It looks like building self-worth, or even just making some money on the side. Leo risings, this is happening in your first house of self-identity, personality, sense of self, perspective, and your approach to life. This is really exciting because you're kind of the star of the show here, considering the fact that this is happening in your sign. I love a good new moon in the first house, because this is typically the best time to like dye your hair a new color, or to get a new look, or to start a new wardrobe, or to really just like spruce up your personality, where you're like, okay, I'm deciding this is who I am today, and everything that I was before this doesn't matter anymore. And I feel like this is really exciting, because Leo risings in general, some of your lessons in life are about having to be more comfortable with getting the attention, with being creative, with letting your inner child come out and things like that. So I'd say having a new moon here might reflect those themes as well. This is definitely glow up energy, lean into self-love and being selfish, even if it pisses everybody off. Virgo risings, this is happening in your 12th house of dreams, fears, subconscious, self-sabotage, addiction, escapism, mental health, sleep, and hidden enemies. So having a new moon here is interesting because obviously we know that 12th house, similarly to the 8th house, is very mystical. It tends to be things that we cannot see or touch in our physical realm, but rather like our mental health and healing and what's going on inside of our subconscious. So you might not see too many, physical changes in the sense that maybe this isn't going to be comparable to you for other signs in the sense that you won't be buying a new house this month, or maybe you're not getting into a brand new relationship this month. However, I would say that this is a really great opportunity, if not intentionally, to just heal any things that are kind of residing in your psyche, in the sense that maybe you self-sabotage, or maybe you don't allow yourself to always have the attention, or maybe you kind of hinder yourself when it comes to getting the recognition for things that you should be getting, recognized for and getting accolades for. So I would say having new beginnings here can kind of look like coming full circle with lessons that you've learned. Again, having like a healing phase. It could look like starting a new sleep cycle or sleep schedule. Even focusing on like affirmations or a self-care routine when it comes to your mental health, maybe starting to go to therapy. I would say that this is more so working in your favor because there is some tougher aspects to the 12th house, being things like addiction and escapism and like getting too lost in things. However, to have a new beginning here is kind of being like, I'm going to start on Monday, or I'm going to start on the first of the month, and having that fresh slate to start all over. Libra risings, this is happening in your 11th house of friends, associates, networking, making money, social media, groups, communities, and manifestation. Having a new moon here is exciting because I feel like it's literally anything from like joining a new friend group to like making a lot of money out of nowhere, having a new beginning in that sense. Or it could just look like literally going viral on social media. Again, because this new moon too is happening at 5 degrees, that minor fame degree that I was referring to, in the sense that it is a Leo degree. It's very much a Leo on Leo, and it's square Mercury, being the planet of communication, talking, using your voice. This makes me think that it's a really great time for you to start connecting and networking with people, even if they're acquaintances, that can kind of put you in a better spot when it comes to getting closer to your goals, because this is the house of also like hopes and dreams and wishes and manifestations. I would say that exercising that ability to gain attention from the public, from groups of people, from audiences, things like that, will boost your ability to get closer to the things that you want if you take advantage of it. This is really good timing for you to try and position yourself socially in the right place to go after what you want. Scorpio risings, the new moon is happening in your 10th house of career, public image, reputation, accomplishment, success, confidence, and asserting yourself. So this is really exciting, similarly to the Libra risings having this kind of in a more professional area of their chart where it comes to manifestations. This is going to start to show up for you with succeeding with something, accomplishing something. I always like to point out that while this is the house of career and what you do for work and seeing, the fruits of your labor when it comes to something you've been working really hard on, astrology was here before capitalism. So if you feel like you're not seeing a lot of movement in your corporate job, or you're working at a 9 to 5 where there maybe isn't a lot of opportunity to advance on a huge level, this could just look like succeeding in a goal that was really important to you, and something that kind of allows you to be more confident and walk with that swag and be proud of yourself and be a little bit more confident in the sense that you're raising your standards, or maybe you're setting stronger boundaries. And for lack of a better word, I hate to be unprofessional, but this makes me think of someone kind of becoming like unfuckwithable on a stronger level. So when this comes to things that are really important to you, this kind of looks like getting your flowers, or seeing the fruits of your labor, or starting to like see something make physical progress in a way that you didn't see prior. So for example, let's say you are working a 9 to 5, but you have this business on the side, or this podcast on the side, or this Instagram account that you've been trying to grow on the side. It's like starting to see the success of that, the growth of that, and becoming more confident in your abilities to succeed in the things that are very important to you. Yeah, I would also say that this could make you sort of have this moment of getting the acknowledgement or the accolades or the reputation of something in a way that you want to be seen, because more often than not, people have their midheaven here, which is representative of their reputation, how the public eye sees them, the way everybody else is kind of viewing you. So it's like being able to stand in your truth, be more confident, and be more proud of who you are through the success and the accomplishments that you're currently getting. Sagittarius risings. This is happening in your 9th house of traveling, wisdom, broadening your horizons, looking outside the box, education, perspective, and spirituality. So I love having a new moon in the 9th house because this is always kind of where our mind expands, whether that's on a physical level in the sense that we're like going on vacation, or maybe we're going back to school, or literally just learning something new. However, it's also gaining a new perspective through experience. It's like kind of weathering out, coming out of that storm and seeing things from a clearer point of view, because the 8th house is transformation. So when things transit out of the 8th house into the 9th house, it's like I went through all of this change, I went through the dark, and now I can see much clearer. And to have a new moon here makes me think of somebody who's maybe able to kind of think outside of the box, or have like an epiphany or a spiritual awakening when it comes to the way that they're viewing things. And again, if it is a little bit more physical or literal for you, this could look like wanting to learn something new, picking up a book that's going to teach you something. It could look like traveling, going on vacation. There might also be foreign matters involved as well. So for example, like learning a new language or getting more in touch with your culture. Either or, having a new beginning here is really exciting because it's going to add and expand to who you are as a person. And with that trine to Jupiter and the 9th house just traditionally being ruled by Sagittarius, this is really your vibe. Like you're used to this energy by being a Sagittarius rising. So it's kind of like you're immersing yourself into that very explorative, non-committal, curious, very philosophical type of Sagittarius energy that is very close to you. Capricorn risings. This is happening in your 8th house of sex, death, taxes, shared investments, secrets, privacy, and hidden information. Having a new moon in the 8th house is interesting. I did talk about this with the 12th house as well. Both of those houses are a little bit more mysterious and mystical, and sometimes it doesn't look like physical changes. If there is a physical change, I would say it will probably be financially. So for example, a lease that you share with somebody, something happening there, or it could look like, you know, going in on a dog with somebody, or buying something that you're splitting with a partner or a bestie or a business partner, or even starting like a new investment, for example, like investing in something new literally through like the stock market, or it could look like investing in something new more energetically when it comes to like trusting somebody that you're getting closer to, learning to be more intimate with somebody that you just started dating. It's a new beginning around transformative things, whether that's literally like something financial, or more on the mystical point of view when it comes to like mystery of diving deeper into yourself, kind of looking deeper and pulling back the layers of the onion and getting closer to like the truth or the rawness of something. And typically this is the house of like shame and self-sabotage, and where we can kind of tuck things away and hide them so that other people can't see them. So to have a new beginning here makes me think that you might be being a little bit more braver, a little bit more exposing of yourself, a little bit more willing to kind of step into uncharted territory, even if it's uncomfortable, in a way that's really going to illuminate a more raw and truthful sense of self. Aquarius risings. This is happening in your 7th house of relationships, contracts, business partners, open enemies, interpersonal connections, and collaborations. I love a good new moon in the 7th house. It's always exciting energy because it's only expanding and it's only sort of bringing positive energy to things that are more so relative to your interpersonal relationships. So this could be anything from like getting closer to somebody you're already dating. It could look like strengthening a friendship. It could look like starting a new business with a business partner, like going in on something with somebody, signing a really exciting contract, whether that's, you know, something with real estate or something with work, getting a promotion. But more often than not, this is going to be a romantic relationship. So this could even be an engagement, especially with that conjunction. I would say that with this being like unexpected things, I think this could be really exciting energy for you, in the sense that you might be getting to very close to somebody in a way that you didn't plan for, in a way that can be very exciting romantically. If there isn't a romantic interest in your life and you're like, Kayla, I don't know what you're talking about, having a new moon here could still be very exciting for you, in the sense that you might be agreeing to go in on something with somebody. I would say that with this being the house of like something that you share a goal with somebody else and they're planning to like go in on something with you, commit with something with you, this is only going to help you out. And with that unexpected energy, I feel like it's more so going to support you and be an exciting thing rather than something that's like incredibly scary. But if you're going through a divorce or something like that, this could be a new beginning, in the sense that it's, you know, newfound freedom as well. Pisces risings, this is happening in your 6th house of work, health, habits, routines, pets, labor, structure, and jobs. Having a new moon here, I would say, could be anything from literally just getting a new job to getting a new dog to starting a new routine. It does have this sort of mundane, often referred to as like boring aspect to it, in the sense that it's similar to the 3rd house because it's the smaller details of our everyday life and how that culminates to the bigger picture. However, while it might seem boring, starting something like a new routine or a new diet or a new workout routine, or even just going to like a doctor's appointment that you've been avoiding for a long time, or bringing your pet to the vet that you haven't brought in a long time, like that structure and adding that sort of connecting of the dots into your life could be something that could string together a much larger, much more beautiful outcome. So for example, if you're like, I don't know, things have been a little bit boring lately, I really need a new, exciting new beginning, it could look like you making a lot of money in 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks because of the changes that you make today. Or it could look like you getting a lot closer into a relationship or feeling a lot more confident in your body because of the smaller decisions that you're making today. So try not to gloss over the importance of things like your morning routine, or what time you wake up in the morning, or the way that you take care of your mental health and your physical health and the things that you put in your body and how that affects you in the long run, because that's exactly what you're going to see the result of come the full moon. And I want this to be something that you can start to see the progress of. So I would say if you wanted to like implement, for example, a diet or a workout routine, or you've been like meaning to get into this mindfulness routine or something like that, or even like apply to this job that you've been putting off, do it now, because you're really going to start to see the fruits of your labor in the coming weeks. Thank you guys for listening. As always, I feel like this video is a little bit short. I feel like it was just because I was talking so fast that I don't know why I'm literally wired right now, but I hope this helped you guys understand a little bit. And of course, as always, if you have questions or you're confused or you just like to add to the conversation, you can always leave a comment, like, subscribe as always. And if you're looking for more information on astrology in general, I do like to talk about celebrity astrology, political astrology, current event astrology, and just teaching you guys the basics. That way you can understand through formulas yourself in order to get more into astrology on my Patreon. It's going to be linked in the description below, as long as booking services, my social media accounts. Love you guys so much. Enjoy this new moon. I'm excited for you guys. I want to hear what changes are going on in your life. And until next time, thank you for listening and thank you for trusting me.